Hello and welcome, folks. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another Benzinga Pro showcase. I am Ryan Faloona, and I am here with the one and only Jonathan Mallard from the onboarding team. Jonathan, how's your Tuesday treating you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Ryan. I'm just loving this the spring weather, and I've got an energy drink here, so I'm good to go.
That is amazing. You are +1 on the energy drink. Spring is outside. I've got this beautiful tree that's blooming, and I've got an entire cavalcade of birds building a nest right outside my place. Really cool to watch. Anyway, let's focus on the market.
You probably scored higher on like the SAT or something than I did, because I don't even know that big.
I'll be honest with you. I don't take tests well, but I have a whole bunch of like random info floating around upstairs in my brain. Speaking of random info, let's talk about some stuff. This is actually not random. This is actually really, really cool stuff. Jonathan, I know that I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. I'm not sure if everyone remembers, though. A few days ago, last week or the week before, we had talked about exclusives, and we had mentioned that we are going to be doing more exclusives. It's a huge price, a huge priority for us. It's one of the things that's actually going to separate us from the pack. I am very pleased to announce that yesterday we had another exclusive, and I want to walk you through it because I want all of the viewers out there to be able to figure out what to look for the next time that we do something like this. So what I've got right here is a blank screen. This is super simple. All I'm going to do is click Newsfeed, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the press release source. Now, this is just for the sake of the example. Let me zoom in here. This is probably a little difficult to see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the ticker BTN, which is for Ballantine Strong. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to yesterday. So remember, I'm right outside of Chicago, so my computer is in Central Time. So these times that you're seeing here are Central Times. You can see that we had an exclusive note, right? If you click on this, tagged with exclusive, also tagged with M&A, which is a category that Jonathan goes over all the time. We constantly mention how this is going to have some big movers. We had in here that the non-executive chair Kyle tells Benzinga that shares are higher Monday following news of Green First Forest Products to buy units from Rainier. So we're telling you about a mergers and acquisitions. We broke that as an exclusive story right around noon Eastern. And then check it out. Just after 5, we actually had a PR from the company going over what we had talked about earlier in the day. Right. So the PR confirmed our exclusive report, which was 5 hours ahead of the PR itself. Let's take a look at the actual chart itself, right? So if I click on BTN and I click on the chart tab, let's go back and take a look at what happened yesterday. So here is yesterday's chart. Here is noon. Here is the volume stick right down here. When we released that exclusive piece of news, we popped from what looks like about 296 up to 309. So about a 13 cent pop there, and then we slowly kind of grinded up the rest of the day, and then that PR came, and look what happened, right? PR took us from 324 all the way up to 416 at the highs. So we ended up bleeding a little bit of that today, but the buyers are back. The buyers are back. As soon as this opened, we spiked again here, trying to test 4. We're coming back in a little. Let's see where we finish. Again, just to kind of recap here, we had an exclusive note 5 hours ahead of the pre-market and had a whole bunch of room for that particular trade to work out. So Jonathan, I'm super excited about these exclusives. We have an amazing team here that's constantly trying to bring us a whole bunch of exclusive interviews and new information. And this one really validates all of the stuff that you and I talk about when it comes to categories in the newsfeed.
Absolutely, Ryan. And I think we had more exclusive content this morning. We had an interview on pre-market prep. So that was with John Inch, senior analyst from another firm. And then someone was asking to take a look at VUZI, V-U-Z-I, this morning. It looks like it's up about 4% since yesterday's close, even though it looks like it was down the past couple sessions significantly. So they just wanted us to take a look. I'm not seeing any fresh news items today, so my assumption is that we might be bouncing off some support here for VUZI.
Yeah, looks like we had a tweet yesterday, right? So here in the news feed, you can see that there was a tweet from the company yesterday. If we take a look at the chart, boy, you're right, Jonathan. This thing got absolutely shellacked yesterday. Looks like we opened right around 29.30 and sold all the way off to about 26. So just over 3 points of downside yesterday. Now today looks to be the bounce of that. This is exactly what you just talked about. As soon as the market opened, our buyers have stepped in there and kind of bounced this. It looks like we're still going over that battle, right? That bounce was met with sellers, and now it looks like buyers are stepping back in here. So let's zoom out and try to make sense of this.
That day chart's looking pretty nice, actually. Look at that uptrend there.
Absolutely. I was going to say the trend is your friend. And in this case, we are actually still in a positive uptrend. As you mentioned, Jonathan, this is a pretty uptrend. We're above both the 50 and the 200A. Both of those are sloping in the correct direction. Noel from the chat here is correctly pointing out that Vuzi is rumored to be a buyout target. So perhaps some more M&A movement in the future. No way that we know that ahead of time. But yeah, and Noel, awesome on playing options. My biggest trade ever came from a merger when I held options ahead of that announcement. So good luck on that. Hope it works out for you. Technically speaking, though, we are doing pretty good here, right? This is normal price discovery. So we're in a nice trend. You can see every time that this is really kind of aggressively shot up, although we have had a corrective move, it eventually has been met with buyers. So until this changes or until any of the fundamentals change, I would expect the exact same thing. Little tip here, one of the things that you can do if you want to do a very quick estimation, let's say, for example, you're like me and you have no position in this stock right now, but you decide, you know what? I do actually want to get involved. I like this company. If you're following Noel's trade plan, you're thinking here, you know, maybe this is going to be a potential buyout in the future and they're going to pay a premium. Where do I enter is the question. There's when you see a chart formation like this, a very, very quick way to, at minimum, give you an estimation. Let's take this last run up here where we had a nice impulsive wave and then a corrective move back. Let's go ahead and draw your Fibonacci retracement on that wave. I'm going to extend it out a little bit to the right here because I want to be able to use some of these price lines as potential entry points when I'm coming up with my trade plan. So you can see as soon as we had that impulsive move, we actually had a corrective move and we bounced almost to the penny off of the golden ratio here, the 0.618 ratio on the Fibonacci retracement. In this case, this comes to about 1963. Looks like the bottom of that candle was 1990. So right around that $20 round number here for support. So again, we moved from about 13 up to 30, right? So more than double. And then we gave back about a third of that total price. So let's say we do something similar here. Let's say we move from 20 to about 32, and then we're going to give some of that back. I actually like this as a buyer here around anywhere between 24 and 25. So we're currently sitting at 27, a little bit of a pullback to that 24, 25 area. Looks to be some pretty good support and looks to be like something we've actually just done in the past. So you may not get that position. That waiting for one of the risks of waiting for a pullback means that you might not actually get filled. So if you're really, really bullish on this, maybe taking a starter position now, giving it a little bit longer of a leash until you can add to your position on support, that might be a way to actually scale into your position and minimize your risk at the same time. As far as whether or not this is going to get bought out, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and thank you to Jao for bringing up this ticker. So this was a good one to look at. Noah's looking at Apple or Google. So if we want to bring up Apple or Google charts.
Yeah, let's do it. Apple, of course, AAPL. Let's take a look here. This is one of my favorites. Tech has really been stagnant recently, but if you caught pre-market prep today, you probably caught Mitch and Dennis having a discussion about the tech seems to be coming back, right? That rotation out of tech might be done or a little bit overdone here, and we might see tech try to press that. As far as Apple goes, in my opinion, Apple is the strongest company in the world. They're really, really doing well. They're moving to more like you need a phone, right? And Apple has a gigantic ecosystem. People don't even think about the competitors when they upgrade. They're just going to buy the new device and buy the new device. The computers seem to be making a comeback as well. And you know, despite some some of the depressed tablet numbers, I can't go anywhere without seeing somebody use a tablet. Even on our happy hour, we had a couple of members last night using tablets as well. So I still think all of this is good. And that we didn't even mention the car, which is possible for future growth here. So looking at this technically, I think we do test some of these recent highs at 145. It might be a little shaky. Let's see what the earnings numbers are for some of these tech companies a little later on here in April. I like this chart. I like Apple. I currently don't have a position. I'd be looking to go 150 calls on a break of 145. I think we actually, if we break new highs, we actually make a push up towards that 150, maybe even higher. So I'm a buyer of Apple. No position currently, kind of waiting for my spot on that one. Jonathan, was Google the other ticker that you were asking for?
Yeah, and then Joe is also saying Skills has a VWAP bounce.
Okay, so let's first start with Google. Google, I have a little bit less of an edge on than Apple. I like it. We use it all the time. I personally would be waiting for a little bit of a pullback here, right? Some of these candles here on volume, really, really good to see. I'd like to see kind of a retest of the 22 level just to make sure that the next leg is up. Seems a little bit extended. I don't make it a habit of chasing green candles. One of the other things that we can notice here is that your 50-day moving average seems to be increasing in its velocity. Looks to be getting a little bit steeper. So I want to wait for that to round and hold before I actually take a position. That's just my own risk management here. Same thing is true if you're really, really bullish and you really, really want exposure right now. Options might not be a bad idea. Just control your risk. Make sure it fits into your plan. So Google, less of a super strong company, but less of an edge. I think I like Apple a little bit more. And you were saying Skills, right, Jonathan? SKZ or SKLZ?
Yeah.
Skills.
Yeah. They're saying that's ready to break out. And then Felix was saying he got in on VTVT this morning off of a news item. Looks like there's a press release at 7:30. It's up 30% today. So that's awesome.
Okay, so real quick here. So we're looking at Skills. I'm gonna go as fast as I can here. We are actually above a VWAP. This is that light blue line that's a little bit thinner. You can see when we sold beneath that, we kind of had a battle. Once we've broken above that, we're kind of staying above that. If we test this line and hold, I think you might have another VWAP bounce in the afternoon here for a day trade. We'll wait and see. Taking a look at the daily chart here, this is really ugly, right? We had a huge run up. We've really given this back. We don't seem to be bouncing yet. I think there is going to be a bounce somewhere. Haven't really seen it yet. So if you're going to play it, keep those stops tight, keep yourself safe, right? Risk management is going to be paramount here. You said VT, and there was a news item. Is that correct?
Yeah, it looks like, I think it was an FDA related news item, and it was off to the races after 7:30 a.m.
Jonathan, this is right in your wheelhouse. This is the stuff that you talk about all the time. Biotech, FDA, healthcare, these headlines make stocks go vroom. And that's exactly what we see here, right? So yesterday we had a little bit of a pop here on this PR in the after hours session. Again, that would be 4:30 Eastern time there. Looks like we popped. We kind of came back in. This get to know this formation here, folks. If you're going to be a short-term trader and you get a pop on a PR, especially in the FDA healthcare sector, and you get a little bit of a corrective move here, that's totally normal. That's normally what we see. Don't chase that green candle. Wait for it to settle. You can see here on the 1 minute chart, I still have my 200-day or 200 bar moving average here. We pretty much bounced right off that. As soon as we reclaimed VWAP, we stayed above it. Looks like we're trying to bounce off the 50. This thing with a catalyst like this, expanding volume, who knows? This thing could be a runner all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin was just asking about, when we're talking about moving averages, are they simple? Are they exponential? Personally, I use more exponential, but it depends on who you're talking to, really, Kevin. But yeah, thanks, everybody. Go ahead.
I was just going to say really quickly, exponential going to give you more of the near terms, going to put more weight on some of the near term candles. Moving averages, they're used interchangeably, like Jonathan said. Make sure they clarify. Depends who you're talking to.
All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Don't go. Tell the people how they can find more about Benzinga Pro.
Go to pro.benzinga.com. Get a free trial if you don't have one already. Pro.benzinga.help is where you'll see more tutorial videos, past webinars, a whole bunch of content. And once you're inside the platform, you can also get a link to our exclusive happy hour Monday, Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll be building theme-based watch list with the entire Benzinga Pro community.
That's right. The Benzinga community joining forces together to bring the trade ideas and the due diligence to you every single day except for Friday.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. And I should add that the link to the happy hour should be in the description of this video right now. So check that out. All right. It's time for a news desk update. Let's bring on Mr. Brent Slava. What up, man?
Hey, Spence.
How we doing?
Good. How's your day going?
Going excellent. I'm having a better day than yesterday. Yesterday, I could never quite like catch up to my day. Like, you know what I mean? Today, I'm feeling more like caught up to my day. You know, I just felt like
proactive.
The day was always like 2 steps ahead. I was always
Man.
You know what I mean? But
sometimes the days just get you. Some days you get the days.
Here's an example. Yesterday, I looked up and it was 3 o'clock, and I was like, "What the hell?"
You're like, "What in the heck happened today?
What happened?
Where did I go?
Where'd it go?
What happened? I blacked out."
I think I did black out. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about. Let's not talk about today. Let's talk about tomorrow.
Let's talk about tomorrow.
Tomorrow is going to be a really big day. I've mentioned this a number of times now. If you don't know, the Coinbase IPO direct listing. We've gone through this process before, Brent and I, but we're going to go through it again here.
Yeah.
Exactly like how the direct listing process works and how you can follow it tomorrow and understanding what's happening. So
exactly.
I'm going to bring up my pro. I
want people to hear our discussion today, Spence. And when the train wheels are off tomorrow and they're in the market and they're potentially thinking about doing Coinbase or not, they like have some expectation for what this process is going to be like. That's what I'm going to try to accomplish with you today.
That's it. Let's do it.
And I'm going to do something. Can I do something?
Oh, I don't know. 1,
in the chat, if you're thinking about buying Coinbase tomorrow. 2, if it's don't buy, hands off. Can I do that, Spence? I did it.
You just did. So one if you're considering buying it. 2, if you're definitely hands off tomorrow.
Cool.
On Coinbase. Let's see.
We got a couple ones. We got a few ones. We got 4 ones, 5 ones.
I don't see.
Oh my gosh! Look at all these ones. People are interested in Coinbase.
I don't see a single 2 yet. Oh yes, I do.
I've seen a couple. There's a couple 2s. There's a couple 2s. Couple prudent investors. I like the prudent investor. So Spence, you did mention the key aspect of this IPO, which is it is a direct listing. This isn't a normal IPO process here. Why is that key? Because it affects the process on the day of the open. And so just to start from the top, $100 billion valuation based on the IPO, right, Spence?
Based on the filing.
Pretty big number there, right?
Pretty big, I'd say.
Direct listing, what does it mean? Well, it means that there's no broker that is going to be helping this thing go live. And then also insiders can sell. People that had already been invested in Coinbase can sell tomorrow if they want. And so we know that for a normal IPO, that lockup period where insiders can't sell, the date that happens is like a notable day. There's always a concern that these insiders who had not been able to sell on the IPO can now sell on whatever that day is. We don't have to worry about that here for Coinbase, I guess. The last, I think you can tell me if I'm wrong, Spence, I think the last kind of like quote high profile direct listing that we've seen was Roblox. Does that sound about right to you?
Yes.
So when I was kind of prepping for today for this now, I just was looking back at our IPO listings in Benzinga Pro. There's a category IPOs in Benzinga Pro, and I just was scrolling through, and I just wanted to use like another what I'm calling high profile direct listing as a way to get a little bit of precedent. If you guys remember Roblox when it opened, that sucker didn't open until about 1:30 p.m. And so what does it mean when an IPO takes shorter or longer to open? Well, you got to remember that all of this stuff is happening behind the scenes. The market hasn't opened yet, but there are specialists that are working to make a market in this thing. And so what happened with Roblox is there was a lot of interest, appropriately so, I think, and it took the specialists who were working to open this thing, I mean, it took them, a good like 4 or 5 hours to get the thing open pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, is that's what's going to happen with Coinbase tomorrow? We can't know. That's another important key here is, I'll have users, I'll have traders hit me up tomorrow and say like, hey, do we know when it's going to open? We don't really. One thing that we do get with a normal IPO process that we're not going to get with the direct listing process tomorrow for Coinbase is we are going to be getting price indications from some of the sources that we have around the street. You can find those headlines in Benzinga Pro. What Spence doing here? He's typed in Roblox. But tomorrow, Spence, can you type in coin to your ticker up there?
Yeah.
To your search field? So tomorrow, whenever the Benzinga Pro Newsdesk starts getting indications in as to where we think this price is going to be, the opening price is going to be, you can just find them right here in this news feed. You type in ticker COIN and you'll see all the updates in real time. You don't have to do anything. When a new headline comes out, it'll just pop up and appear there. And that's another thing. We don't actually get a pricing with a direct listing. We get what's called a reference price. It's basically the same thing, but technically a little different here.
Right.
Something
I about too. Actually, no. Finish your thought, and then I want to.
One more quick thing, Spence. So when we have a normal IPO process, a lot of times the indications that you'll see on a news source like Benzinga Pro, you'll see a number of shares paired. And what the number of shares paired means is the specialists that are working to open the IPO, they're basically matching a buyer at a certain price. The price is up here. They match some more buyers down here. They match some more buyers down here. The price starts effectively coming down. We're not going to get those shares paired figures for the indications tomorrow. And why do those shares paired figures help? Well, they can tell a potential investor how close we are to opening. So generally speaking, for an IPO, if you're getting 3, 4, 5 million shares that have been paired by the specialist with a buyer, it's getting close to being opening. I would say definitely within an hour, probably more likely within the next half hour, it'll probably open. Again, with a direct listing, we're not going to get those shares paired counts. And so again, it kind of just leaves us in the dark more. Is it bad that we're in the dark? I mean, it's not helpful, but again, today I wanted to just get people's expectations set. If people's expectations are that we're largely going to be in the dark with this IPO until it opens, then at least people will be prepared tomorrow.
Yeah. So Brent's given a lot of great insight about tomorrow specifically. If I can zoom out for a moment and just and talk, think about, Coinbase, 1, 3, 6, 12 months from now.
Okay.
So something that's always stuck with me, and this has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Coinbase or the company or Bitcoin at all. Something that always stuck with me is what Josh Brown said. He was on our show, I don't know, sometime last fall, and he talked about Slack, right? And Josh Brown was bullish Slack for a very long time. Slack was actually the first direct listing that I can remember. Or actually maybe
good call. Yeah.
Maybe even Spotify. But Slack did a direct listing like 2-3 years ago, right?
Uh-huh.
And what Josh Brown, and he was bullish Slack, and it was not a performer. Work did it. I mean, it got bought by Salesforce. But prior to that, here I'll show you my chart. Where Work was not a good one. And when Josh Brown said, he was like, I love the product, but what I underestimated was the impact of a direct listing in terms of support on the street. So when you have a typical IPO and you're raising money and you're going through underwriters, those underwriters are incentivized to come out and defend the stock in the form of rating, analyst ratings, right? Yep. Buy rating, right? Hold rating. It's why you basically never see a sell rating from an underwriter, at least right off the bat, maybe down the road. But with the direct listing, they went around the banks. They went around the banks straight to the market. And what that means is you have no banks that are going to come to your defense. Okay? Let's look at another one. Look at Spotify. This was also a direct listing. Okay? Now, obviously, it's up now, but look what it did for the first 2 years. Not much.
Sideways
for the first 2 years. Right now, it broke out last year. Congratulations, you waited 2 years. But all this means is don't expect anyone. And now Coinbase already has a rating I saw, which is interesting because it didn't even come out yet. But there's no built-in incentive for the banks on the street to come out and defend Coinbase, give it a buy rating, and then sell, promote that to their clients and say, hey, clients, clients of our bank, we think you should buy this stock, right? Or hey, managers, hey, asset managers, we think you should buy this stock.
It's effectively, like another level of marketing in a way, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
And we're not going to have that level. It's an excellent point by Josh Brown, and definitely a way to bring it up, Spence. You got a good memory.
Thank you. And then one more thing I want to add. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but it would not shock me for a moment if Coinbase becomes like your indicator for your Bitcoin stocks. So what I've done is I put together a watch.
Nice.
By no means an exhaustive watch list of stocks.
This is smart, Spence.
Stocks that I perceive to be quote unquote Bitcoin or crypto stocks that will move with Coinbase with Bitcoin. Now,
so some of them like direct exposure to crypto. Some of them a payments company. Some of them you got AMD, you got Nvidia in here. That's smart. You got some chip mining.
I've
exposure,
got
right?
Tesla on here. Companies like Tesla and Nvidia.
Ooh,
and
that's a good point.
They are diversified. They can move on a plethora of factors, but they do have Bitcoin or crypto exposure. A company like Voyager or Riot or Mara has much more concentrated exposure to Bitcoin.
Right.
Probably going to move with Coinbase tomorrow. Same thing with GBTC or the Ethereum Trust from Grayscale. I've got the blockchain ETF BLOK on there. This is going to be such a large IPO and so widely followed. That it would not shock me. Just like how we see Zoom and Peloton are like your leaders for the stay-at-home trade, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would not shock me if you see Coinbase become like your leader for the Bitcoin trade. Obviously, aside from Bitcoin itself, but if we're talking about stocks here, Coinbase becomes your
I think
leader.
It makes sense, Spence. Yeah.
So
best of breed, if you will.
Cameron Dole says I have a few missing. Well, tell me who I'm missing, man. Let me know.
Ooh. Spence, let me. So a couple more things here. I just want to point out what up.
They're all giving me shit, so I'm adding stuff. All right, I'm adding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm adding EQOX there. Jeez.
Are you happy? So a couple more items here for like timeline. Again, trying to get expectations in line. So for Roblox, the day before they went public, we got the reference price headline at about 5:05, let's say 5:05 p.m. Eastern time.
The day before.
Can we expect that for Coinbase? Probably, yeah.
Okay.
It'll probably be later today, this afternoon at some point, and then we were able to is Coin NYSE or Nasdaq, Spence? I don't know that.
I mean, Coin's going to be the very first direct listing on the NYSE. I'm sorry. On the
Nasdaq.
That's what I meant. On the Nasdaq.
Gotcha. Because when Roblox was happening, we reached out to the NYSE and we asked somebody, hey, what time is Roblox going to open? And they gave us a little comment. So we're definitely going to try to do that again tomorrow. However, I'm going to go to, so there's a ton of good IPO information on Benzinga Pro. Ton of good stuff on like trading halts that you can see on Benzinga Pro. There is a really good resource on the Nasdaq though, and I'm going to drop it into the YouTube chat right now. It is
within Pro or no?
What'd you say?
Is this inside Pro or not?
A lot of the information that you can find on this website that I just shared in the YouTube chat, you can find on Benzinga Pro, but this will obviously have more up-to-date information. It's coming from the exchange that it's on. This is the Nasdaq's market system status page. And so when there's an IPO on this page, the Nasdaq will list expected times when the quote will begin, expected times when they think it would open. And so I hopefully they'll have a little bit of information on Coinbase tomorrow on this website. We'll get you headlines into Benzinga Pro for sure. But if you want to go to like the actual raw source, there's your link.
This is good. This is good. Link up on
Yeah.
the screen, link up in the chat. Brent Slava, he's the head of Benzinga's Newsdesk. He will be glued to his screen, literally.
No doubt.
Glue him to his desk chair tomorrow to watch this IPO. Brent, always a pleasure. Thanks for the
Yes, sir. Thanks, Spence. Later, everybody.
Everyone, smash that like for Brent and the knowledge he brings. We appreciate him as always. Hit the like button, leave us a comment, hit share, do all that engagement stuff that helps us out with YouTube. We appreciate that. Let me put the link to the pre-market prep swag contest that I talked about this morning on the show. There it is in chat. I have to hop off here because it is time for Spax Attack. It's time for let me get that better. It's time for Spax Attack and not time for me. So I will see you all later on in the day. Next time I'll be on the stream is for the ETF show, at 3:00 Eastern time. I have a good guest on for that. And that's a wrap for me. Spax Attack up now. Smash the like, and I'll see you guys.